Hey everybody, my name's Austin. This is a game I've been developing for a little while that is really close to my heart. It is Autocona, the Game of Automotive Icons. This is a game in which players are taking on the role of a fictional car company set in the years 1950 to 2030. They're competing for various markets, various objectives that their board of directors is giving them. They're competing after groups of people and demographics, various country markets, various segments of automotive culture. They're building up their infrastructure, and they're attempting in the end to gain the most reputation points out of all the other automotive companies within a set amount of time. I'd really love to hear any feedback that you have on the gameplay itself, understanding what looks fun, what doesn't look fun to you, what is confusing, what needs to be solved in terms of gameplay mechanics, and anything of that nature. Just really curious to hear what you think of the game. So I'm going to get into the rules right now. Alright, let's start setup of Autocona. To start the game, everyone's going to draw 3 company cards. These are all based on fictional brands of automotive companies. They're going to take a look at each one of these companies. They're going to select which one they want to represent. On your company card, you will notice it has the name of the brand, where the brand originates, and their various attributes. Next, based on the company card that the player selected, they're going to take 3 of their car tokens and place them on the board in the appropriate locations. This particular brand is based in Italy, so they will place 1 company car in Italy to represent their first sale. They will also place 1 company car representing how many sales they have completed on the sales track, which is up here in the top. So they're placing it on 1 sale. They will also come down here to the reputation track, which is down at the bottom of the board, and place it on 1 because each sale represents 1 reputation. Based on the number of players playing, a certain number of market cards representing various market opportunities will be played onto the board and show you what you can play into. Market opportunities are represented by these 5 different vehicle segments. Over here we have sport, value, motorsport, luxury, and utility. Up close, here is an example of a utility card, a market opportunity labeled workhorse, utility represented by this symbol here and the color, and down here tells you what your rewards will be if you capture this market opportunity. So this is an icon representing a sale into Australia, and I'll go into more detail on this in particular later. Here's another example of a luxury market card, and you can see the different symbol, color, and a different reward system down here. So the number 8 represents how much value of a vehicle you need to play into this market to even compete with the other players. If you do not have a value of 8, you will not be able to compete. And you can see that this will provide extra sales based on the level of challenge. For the sake of this game, 5 different market opportunities were placed around the board. Next, each player is going to draw 3 objective cards that were given to them by their board of directors. They will flip these over and secretly choose 1 to keep in their hand. These represent the various challenges and rewards that must be acquired in order to gain this level of reputation down here. A player will keep 1 in their hand secretly to hold on for the remainder of the game. They will take another and place it on the objective track, which is down here at the bottom of the board for everyone else to accomplish. At the beginning of a game, a player will also draw 7 vehicle cards, which will represent bodies, chassis, and any accessories and trim levels that you can apply to these bodies and chassis. You'll notice that there are 5 different segments similar to the market, and this is what this player has drawn. So each card represents either a chassis or a body within that particular segment. It also displays a level of value that that particular card has. Down here are just placeholder names for the purpose of prototyping. And then you also notice that there's an action labeled over here. So we have marketing, a couple of marketing cards, a couple R&D, factory. I'll get into more of this later. There's also a purple card that functions as a wild, which you can tack on to any play for that level of additional points. At the beginning of the game, you will also start with 5 action tokens per player. Now that everyone is set up on the board, we will take our first turns. The first action listed over here is to purchase or invest in a building or research. The way you do so is by placing a number of valued cards and discarding them, and therefore investing into each one of those categories. So for instance, I could discard both of these and get a value of 9 towards my investment. The number one investment is a R&D facility, and this allows one facility allows you to play into value markets, which are these cyan colored markets, and two facilities allows play into motorsport markets, which are these red markets. Each facility is worth +1 within that country. So for instance, if I place that R&D facility into the US, I will gain a sale and therefore a reputation and a sale on the track. The R&D facility is worth 15 value. Second thing to purchase is a museum. This is worth 25, so it's quite an investment. At the end of the game, you are able to hold one played vehicle hand per museum until the end game for that many reputation points at the very end. So if you are able to play into a market, you can hold on to that hand and gain that many reputation points. Each museum is also worth +1 within that country. Next up is the sales office, which is worth 15, and this allows you to have +1 vehicle sale per round in a country where that office is present. Next up is a sub-brand. This is a very expensive investment. It's worth 45. This allows you to draw 3 brand new brand cards and choose one. This also allows you to keep and play an entirely new hand. So instead of holding 7 cards, you would be holding 14. Finally, the last investment that you can make is government contract down here at the bottom. It's worth 25, and it allows a +2 advantage in that market with the same country, and a -2 disadvantage for all other players. So for instance, if I was holding a government contract in Nigeria, any of my cards that were for that various market would hold +2 value, and everyone else would have a -2 value unless they also had another government contract. The main action that you can take is by taking one of your action tokens, placing it into build and market, and you will then be able to secretly form a hand that you can play into one of these markets. Say for instance, I want to go into this luxury market. I can take only luxury vehicle bodies and chassis and play into that market, but I can also take wilds. So currently my hand is not set up very well for playing into that market because this is only worth 2. But for the process of example, we're going to place this secretly over here, and we're going to place our action token on top to represent that that is our hand that we're playing in there. The next thing that you can do, again with another action token, is refresh, and this allows you to take any number of cards out of your hand, discard them, place them down, and draw up to your hand limit again. The next action is called R&D. This takes 1 action token and 2 cards in your hand that have actions that say R&D. You then discard those, and what happens is you are able to move a category upgrade. So this brand in particular already has a +1 in sport. Let's say we really want to go after sport, we can do another +1 and therefore have +2 within that category for any market that we play. The next action we can take is factory. We place 1 action token down and 2 cards discarded that have factory labeled on them. This allows us, again on our brand board, to move up our action tokens. So typically we start with 5. This player would now have 6 action tokens per round. Next is marketing. This takes 1 action token placed down and then 2 cards discarded that say marketing as their action. This allows +1 vehicle sale within that country. Any country in particular. So let's say I wanted to continue to go after Italy. I would then place one of my score markers. Since I already have a sale there, we're going to place one of those down. And now I have 2 sales. I would then move up my reputation to 2 and my sales to 2. You're going to continue until everyone has used up all of their action tokens. Going back to the build and market phase, what are the actions, what are the cards that we can play into that market? So say for instance, we are playing into a motorsport market. We can play a single chassis, we can also play a single body, or we can combine a chassis and a body to have that many points. We can also always tack on a wild, which is the purple card, onto any hand, whether it be a chassis, a body or a combination of a chassis and a body, and you can layer up as many wilds as you want. So these hands can get pretty diverse. If I was playing into a motorsport market, I could not play a value card, and I could also not play a body, a motorsport body, and an additional motorsport body. The only way that you can combine those types of cards is a body and a chassis. So how do these markets resolve? After everyone is done placing their action tokens and taking their actions, there will be a number of markets that people have paid into. So let's take a look at this value market down here. This says gas sipper. That is the opportunity. Down here you can see a token related to Nigeria and South Korea, and there's a little box. That little box represents these cubes that are the markers you use to place your cards down. And what this is saying is that whoever wins this will get the amount of cubes that are played into these particular markets for these particular countries. So if there's 2 players who have played into this and there's 2 cubes, whoever wins that will get 2 sales within Nigeria as well as South Korea. So for this example, red played a value of 5 and green played a value of 4. So therefore, red would win this particular market. They would hold on to the market card, and they would place their additional sales within Nigeria and update Nigeria and South Korea, update reputation and sales, and then they would keep the market card here. So what are all the ways to make points? Obviously, you can make points by winning these markets and selling into these various markets. That helps. The next thing that you can do is you can collect these market segments. So over here you can see groups. These represent how many prestige points or reputation points you are going to gain by holding those groups. So for instance, if you want to go after elites, you need 2 luxury markets and 1 sport market for 3 additional reputation. You hold on to the market cards to be able to determine which groups you're in. Available at the end of the game. You do not automatically score them. The next thing that you can do is targeting various markets very heavily. So, for instance, if I really wanted to hold on to Italy, which is worth 1 reputation at the end of the game, I would try to find markets that sell into Italy. If I really want to capture Europe in general, which is worth 4 at the end of the game, I can continue to do that as well. So there are ways that you can lump in various targeting strategies and try to win out against various companies. The other way to gain points, and these are worth quite a lot, is the objective cards. So this one, for example, says 7 sales in the US or Mexico and +3 in your utility track on your brand. So you would have to place R&D points into +3 for utility. You could then accomplish this objective and immediately gain that many points. Every time that every player is done with their action tokens, you then move to the next round, which are in 5-year increments, and play starts all over again. At the end of 1, 2, or 3 eras, depending on how long and how complex of a game you want, you would then tally up all the end game reputation points, which are represented by the groups, the continent points, and the country points. Move the reputation slider accordingly, and whoever wins is the person who has the most reputation within that set amount of time.